Tonight we're hosting the Principal Secretary, State Department for Culture, the Arts and Heritage, Ummi Bashir, who joins us on set. They just concluded Mashujaa Day celebrations were quite a success, and then the State Department was heavily involved, of course, in organizing for that day. Let's just take stock of Kenya's cultural pulse. Thank you very much, PS, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To start with, how did you assess the success of Mashujaa Day, having been involved and heavily so with the organization of the event?
I would say that this year's Mashujaa Day was very successful.
Okay.
And I cannot take the whole credit. I'll give credit to the a saga called Heroes Council, which is in charge of matters heroes and heroines. And State Department for Culture, Arts and Heritage worked very closely with the council, that is at the National Heroes Council. What we did was basically give it to the people of Kenya to see who is a Shujaa. And of course, we can't go without mentioning and acknowledging our main star and our main Shujaa of this year, who is Baba Jacom, the late, may he rest in peace. And him, we cannot compare the history that is there with him politically and even developmentally in this nation. Back to the State Department of Culture, Arts and Heritage. This is the third time we're doing and awarding the Shujaas of this nation. And this has been since the year 2014 when the Act came in place for Heroes Council. And it was not implemented. Heroes is a saga that literally came into being about 3 years ago. And it's doing so well because we have awarded 186 heroes this year. And this is across the board. So we have 14 categories of heroes, of Shujaas. And we put this to the public. We publish in the newspapers for Kenyans to say who is a hero, who you deem fit to be a hero from your corner of the nation. It can be anybody you deem fit for the 14 categories. So the 14 categories are like human rights, cultural and indigenous knowledge, we have research and innovation, we have philanthropy, we have environmental heroes, we have sports heroes, and so on. So it is not Ummi Bashir who says, I am a hero. So someone has to recommend me, and we go and do our research as a State Department. Does this person really deserve to be a hero? And is it just a mediocre game, or how then do you qualify? So the Act gives you pointers on what to follow. So once we advertise, they apply, and this was done around July of this year. And then around in September, we put it out for public participation for the names now that were shortlisted, for the nation now to say, listen, you've shortlisted so-and-so, but there's a problem, there's a hiccup, there's something you missed. So we give the nation and the people of Kenya an opportunity to guide and say, listen, no, that's not the way. It should be this person should not be awarded. And the reasons, there has to be tangible reasons. There have to be affidavit sworn. So it's not a walk in the park. So there's a lot of rigorous exercises that go on behind the scenes before the 20th of October, where His Excellency the President now awards us a medal to the Shujaa. There's a certificate that is given, and we hope that this year we'll gazette our Shujaas, because as I said, this is the third year that we're actually actualizing this dream of appreciating our heroes as a nation.
This 126 that you mentioned, beyond the ceremony, does it end there, or what is your involvement as a State Department in terms of ensuring they continue to contribute to the culture of the Republic of Kenya?
Yeah, so that's a good question. First of all, once you're awarded as a hero, it's not monetary. There's no money that you're given because you're a hero, but it's for the hard work you've done as a Shujaa. So we work closely with you as a Shuja, and we keep watching you, because you can be degazetted and we can take back our award anytime. So your character and demeanor has to resonate with the fact that you are awarded by His Excellency the President.
Even beyond?
Even beyond.
Okay.
So once you're a hero, we are working with the National Museums of Kenya, Kenya Wildlife Services, Immigration Department, to see how we can fast-track services and even give these Shujas a different treatment, in the sense of, if it's queuing, you have a different card that shows that you're a hero and you deserve a certain presentation in terms of favorism, so to speak, because now you're a hero, and there's a reason why you were nominated and awarded as a hero. So if you go to the national park, we are working with KWS in such a way that the prizes, the amount that you're supposed to pay is not the usual park fees that you're supposed to pay. When you go to the National Museums of Kenya, your children might go in free, or yourself, depending on the occasion. So it's not monetary, but we track and we keep eyes on you for a minute, because it does not end with that day of the 20th of October and we close the chapter. That said and done, the Act also catapults you to a certain standard of recognition and also appreciation from the government of Kenya. And that is a great honor, because we are millions in this country, but you are picked among the chosen few. So it is a great honor. And then we follow up. Do you then, as an environmental conservationist, do you go back and plant more trees, or do you now go and sit at home, relax, and say, I got the award, I'm done? So we follow up. A very cultural practitioner, if you're a philanthropist, have you increased your numbers? It's about the 15 billion trees that we're trying to plant and grow as a country, as a nation. Have you supported us in increasing that number? So we follow up on how then do we ensure that you maintain this demeanor, this honor that you've been given.
All right. Yeah. I have to admit, not so many people knew that that process is that rigorous in terms of identifying the heroes. And of course, this job being done by the National Heroes Council. But tell us, are there any plans by the State Department, and of course in conjunction with the National Heroes Council that is under you, in terms of expanding this process to make it more inclusive, or give it more publicity?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get it. I think, first of all, as Kenyans, we need to be in touch with the newspapers. Clearly. And get communications in order, because we communicate. We put it in the newspapers, and it's on our website as the National Heroes Council. So probably we could say we could improve our reachability to the people at the bottom of the pyramid by ensuring that we even talk about the awards at the local radio stations, in the local dialects, so that every person in Kenya, because they're heroes who we cannot reach. A hero who saves a child from being eaten by a crocodile. You know, it's only that person or that chief, that villager who lives there, who knows that person is a hero. Me sitting in my office in Nairobi, I cannot award this person a hero because I don't know. So the person who knows that story has to communicate and say, look, I recommend that this person X becomes a hero because of 1, 2, 3. Secondly, communication is key. And as a State Department, we're working towards ensuring that our awards are not only recognized on the 20th of October in the news and in the media, but the people back at home, the grassroots level heroes, get an opportunity. And you know, we cannot award everybody at a go. Yeah. And although we've been doing this for a minute, the Heroes Council came into being 3 years ago. And we are seeing how we can strengthen our weak points, our gaps that we have, because we're not perfect. So, but I think so far we've done a great job. As a regime, when we came into office, we took the heroes very seriously. We took into account the fact that there are people who are not celebrated as they should. And that is why, as the National Treasury, we put so much funds into ensuring that the Heroes Council is facilitated and it is supported financially. Yes.
Idhokwe Stadium will remain, I think, etched in the minds of the people of Kitui, for example, being a major infrastructural project, but also as a representation of their culture. I'm talking about now cultural infrastructure. What is the State Department doing to ensure that there is cultural infrastructure within the 47 county governments? Because per se, you would say they are custodians of Kenya's culture in a sense.
Yeah, that's actually, you're very right. Yeah. You've noticed that over the years, since 2023, we've been rotating where the national holidays actually happen. For instance, we've been to Kitale, we've been to Kwale last year. The year before it was Kericho. And we have also been to Embu and so on. We're trying to get to the people themselves. We don't want to centralize celebrating our cultures and our heritage by doing so from Nairobi and from Nyayo Stadium or Kasarani. So His Excellency the President deemed fit that we should go to the people. Not everybody can come to Nairobi to celebrate, from Turkana to Lamu to Nyanza. So taking this around makes it easier for us to resonate with the people, and also the culture, the assets, the heritage that we have in each and every of the 47 counties comes to life. It comes to be seen across the nation and even globally. And that is why in Kitui the other day, we saw, thanks to PPMC in conjunction with the committee that actually did this work and Heroes Council, we saw that the talent that we want to nurture and bring out in that specific, on that specific day was the art, the music, and the creativity of the Kamba people coming from Kitui. So when we go to a county like, let's say, Wajir, we want to resonate. We want the music, the culture, the foods, the cuisines of that particular community. And I think going around these different counties makes every culture and every community feel appreciated, because Nairobi is a beautiful county, but basing everything here will not bring out what we want to bring out in terms of our heritage, in terms of our cultures. So back to the stadium that we used for the Mashujaa Day the other day. You see, that is where sports, creativity, and art come to life. That particular stadium will now be used by different youths in terms of sports. A section of it will be used for cultural practitioners, and also as a facility to compete among, certain age groups, so that you can go to better stages or other venues in terms of getting funding when it comes to making money out of music, making money out of art and creativity. The sports heroes that we're talking about are people that come from these different counties. So the fact that His Excellency the President has been doing stadiums across everywhere we are holding any national day, any national holiday. So if, for instance, it's Mandera, we will fix that stadium. And that is good, because that is how we trickle down investment, infrastructure, development to the counties. And there's no better day to celebrate this than days that are of importance to the nation of Kenya. For instance, Jamhuri Day, we have Mashujaa Day, and so on. So for me, I think it's the best decision the President made, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, because if we stopped it here at Nairobi, we would not be fair to the rest of the nation.
The 186 heroes, there was quite a blend, but what caught my eye was the number of artists, particularly musicians, who were being featured in these last celebrations. Jua Kali was among them. He's a contemporary musician. So in terms of this honor by the State Department, how are you supporting these contemporaries? And I'm talking about musicians, to further the agenda of the Kenyan culture, even when obviously it looks like it is evolving, that they evolve also with the culture.
Yeah, I come from a generation that really appreciates the likes of Jua Kali, Bitza Clemo, Gengeton, and so on. So for me and my age group, I find him to be a hero in terms of arts. And that is how he came in, as an arts hero, because of creativity and music. So if we do not appreciate this originals in terms of music as a Kenyan nation, it becomes disheartening, because right now we have the young generations with Angukanayo and so on. It will come a time where we will celebrate them and also reward them. But as it is, we don't want to leave behind anybody. And as the State Department for Culture, Arts and Heritage, we are trying to come up with a Kenyan musicians museum where we will appreciate the likes of Clemo, the likes of Juakali, Red Sun, and so on. And the first step we could take was award them as heroes. The second one will definitely be have a museum, a state-of-the-art museum, whereby we showcase, you know, Isa, the late Isa, Nameless, and the like, because we want our generations, our kids to appreciate the creativity that was there before, you know, the current generation that is there. So for me, I would say that working closely with talent giants of music should not go unnoticed, because there is no one who can work as an island. You can't be an island as an artist especially. So as a State Department, we capacity build. We use the Kenya Cultural Center to ensure that these artists come and showcase their talents. We also have a sector of encouraging or rather capacity building in terms of drug abuse for artists, because we are in a time where our generation, rather the current generation, have so much going on the social media. Whatever you see is cool and dope. But when you come down to it, you will see that these artists sometimes go into depression, because what matters is money in the pocket of these artists. So if encouraging them and putting them up as a hero, and then giving them roles to play in terms of making money, because it does not stop with just being an artist. Art is not about fun and games. It's about also making money. It's not about a dope thing to do. It's also a means of putting food on the table for your family. So we take this very seriously as the State Department for Arts, Culture and Heritage, and together with the Permanent Presidential Music Commission, which is a vital organ within the State Department, we see how we can do this from the youth across the nation. Across the nation, in terms of, even if you're in Mandera, even if you're in Turkana, you get a chance to showcase your music. And these days, everything is digital. I can look at your work from my office and say, listen, we need to bring this person in. There's talent. Give them the studio so that they can record their music. And we have a studio here at PPMC that gives a chance to young artists to showcase their talent. Yeah.
It's good you mentioned the Kenya Cultural Center. In terms of promoting local talent and to prepare it for the global audience, are we at our optimum, particularly when you talk about the Kenya Cultural Center?
First of all, the Kenyan Cultural Center, rather the theater, was currently renovated, and it's actually looking very good. You should go and experience it with your family. Take them for plays.
It neighbors me. Right here.
Oh yeah, KBC, yeah. So I love going there over the weekends, especially Sundays, just to watch plays. And it makes me so happy to see the kind of creativity that we have in this, the artists. Many plays, many poems, and you see a lot of youth coming to showcase their talent. And we give them this platform because this is where people sit back, relax, and watch you perform. And you find that they perform different types of plays. Just the other day at the Kenya Cultural Center, we had the play for Koitalel Arab Samoei, one of our Shujaz. And this year we're celebrating the 120th year since his murder. I said murder, not his death, murder. So we tend to celebrate these heroes, and you find that it is this generation of artists and creatives who come up with plays that, and then they perform, make money, put money in their pockets. And at the end of the day, Kenya Cultural Center is a stage that even internationally, we have the Kenya International Theatre Festival coming up next month. And this is a forum whereby we have over 20 nations coming to showcase their different art at this theatre. Remember, the theatre, we have the local artists who come to mingle, network with these foreign artists. And Kenya then is put in a platform of making cultural diplomacy and so on, the soft power part of diplomacy and the soft power part of international relations, as a very important tool, because when you look at sports, we have the sports heroes. When you look at arts and culture, we have the cultural diplomacy and cultural heroes. So the KCC is a very important institution, and I would like to encourage all our youths to make use of it, because it's there for our youths to make use of it. And note, we don't only stick here and stay here in Nairobi. We have these devolved systems of the theater going to people, even under trees, whereby we put a stage and you perform and you show your worth and you come here and we support you. We do this through the State Department. And I think the State Department of Culture, Arts and Heritage is also doing very well in terms of the encouraging tourism numbers. So the tourism numbers, tourists want art. They want to see and feel our cultural art. And this is also seen at the Kenya Cultural Center. Yeah.
The Kenya National Archives records has our historical memory as a country. Working with your colleagues in government, how are you working to ensure accessibility to the facility, particularly for the youth? Because over the years, you've heard complaints that our youth appear to be detached from the Kenyan history.
It's true.
What are we doing to ensure accessibility to this facility?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, the archives came into place from an act of 1965, whereby its work is to document, preserve all our heritage under one roof. Now, fast track this to 2025. We are in a time where we have social media, we have modernization and digitization. So the youth usually look at archives as a meeting point, or if you get lost in Nairobi town, which I would use it as a place to say, listen, let's meet at the archives. That's the only place I would not, get lost at. And I want youth to go in. When you go in, it's more of, a cake building. But given that we have documentation and digitization of our heritage going on, which is being done by the Kenya National Archives, we are trying to have a situation where 50 years from now, our youth don't have to look at archives as a house for the old, as a boring old house, but a house that you can go and stay in touch and keep in touch with your history, your ancestors, and your Kenyan stories, Mau Mau stories, for instance. It's a beautiful house inside, but it comes a time where you have to admit that, listen, there's too much noise going on, because archives is also a place where researchers come to do their work. PhD students come to do their work, and there's matatu noise, there's no parking, there's also a lot of things that go on downtown, which I don't want to talk about. But for that safety and security of a researcher, of a tourist, we're thinking, why don't we then look at a place that is conducive in terms of a place that has ample space for garden and ambience that can give a tourist, listen, I want to go back to Kenya again, and specifically to the archives. Another thing is digitization and documentation. So we have all the photos, the videotapes, if you remember the VHS tapes, we have all that. But with time, we moved from that to the tapes, the radio tapes that we used to use pens to, rewind and so on. Yeah. So what we are doing, and we're working with specifically Oman to see how we can partner and have machines that will take back the negatives. This we call the negatives. The negatives to be a palatable or a usable thing right now. For me to sit in my office and click on the website of Kenya National Archives and see exactly which document I want from a Mau Mau era, or a letter that was written to a certain chief back then. We have a website right now, and it was not there. It's up and running. This is part and parcel of the documentation I'm talking about. Apart from that, an accessibility in terms of a click of a button away. You have your phone. A phone has an application. We're working towards having an application that takes you straight to the archives. And as a researcher or a tourist, sometimes you don't want to go there, but you want to experience it from your living room or your office. You want to experience that journey. So we made it easier, whereby we're working in conjunction with the ICT department to see how we can make it easier for a user, for our clients, to enjoy what is in the archives, not necessarily going there. But that does not say we don't want you to go there. We want you to go there. The prices are very affordable, if you ask me. Students still go there. And it's an experience. Some of us would love to go there, but some would not. For the children, I would encourage, even at the museums you go, you find school buses, here at the library, school buses, and queues of kids. Because it's an exciting experience. And 20, 30 years from now, you'll say, oh, I went to the National Museums of Kenya, I went to archives. But we need to make it a conducive environment, not a dusty environment. An environment that when it rains, it does not, it does not flood or it does not destroy the assets we have. When you look at things like the first flag, the cow flag, if you know, maybe you don't know, I'll just tell you. The first flag that we have as a nation was a party flag for cow. That flag is the one that initially was being used as a party's flag, but then right now we use it as our nation flag. So that first flag is at the archives. And I'm sure this heritage and this story is not known by a lot of our youths.
Absolutely.
So I would encourage them to go there, see this cow flag, TikTok it, snap it, let the world know that, listen, I'm in touch with my creativity or my heritage. Because content creation, and I'll touch on content creation because it's also part and parcel of this department.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So content creation should not be a boring thing of just sitting in a room and just taking, content as you speak to us. Make it exciting. Let me walk with you. Go to Lamu. Show me the Lamu Museum. Show me Fort Jesus. Show me the Turkana boy. Go to Turkana, for instance, and tell me about why Kenya is the home of human origins. I'll be excited to follow you. But we find that our creatives seem to be very comfortable in their hood, and they want to be at home and talk about things when they're in the bedroom or in the living room. I would encourage, come to the National Museums. Personally, I would take you there. I would take you in and show you the best places to go. The Turkana boy, the oldest human fossil is at the National Museums of Kenya. And this fossil was found in the year 1984 in Turkana. And it was 1.6 years old then. So do your math. Right now, it's 2-point-something million years. That is why we say Kenya is the home of human origin. Imagine doing your content creation by coming to the National Museums of Kenya, shooting this, you would get a lot of followers.
And it is allowed?
It is allowed, yes, it is.
Quite interesting.
Yes.
And I think they can take up you on that promise.
Yeah, they can. Why not?
Let's go back to the Bashir Day celebrations. And I want us to talk about cultural diplomacy. We had guests, for example, like the Senegalese president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye. We had also the prime minister of Mozambique. Do you think we put up a good show that we can use for cultural diplomacy? And while at Tate, what efforts are we inputting towards that aspect of cultural diplomacy? Oh, yeah, that's a good one. His Excellency, the President, is a Pan-Africanist. And the fact that he invited the President of Senegal to come and celebrate Mashujaa Day with us here in Kenya was an honor. Because now the Senegalese President would now see that there's cultural diplomacy in play, and that the cultural diplomacy part of international relations is actually being implemented by African leaders. Historically, we have Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, we have Kenyatta, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and the like, who were known for Pan-Africanism. But we have modern-day Pan-Africanists, and our president is one of them. Now, when it comes to celebrating national days and inviting presidents, sitting presidents, it's not a walk in the park because, as we know, presidents are very busy. But for us to catapult ourselves to that national level in terms of diplomacy and cultural diplomacy more so, is a first-hand experience on what Kenyan art, because in Kitui the other day, we witnessed art from the Kamba people, dance from the Kamba people, the food that we had was from the Kamba people. So the Senegalese president did not only experience Nairobi, but he also experienced a town called Kitui, which I'm sure would put us on the map globally when it comes to diplomacy and also having that relation of soft power between ourselves as a nation and other African nations. So it was a good example to set. And I'm sure His Excellency, the President, will be called to more African nations himself to also experience these other days. It's not like he has not been called before, but this would add to his cake in terms of putting us as a nation that is very welcoming, has a lot of heritage and history and culture, which we celebrate. So I think it was a great thing that the Senegalese president also helped the president award our heroes. He was not just there as a guest, but he also did the work of awarding our heroes, which I was really proud of.
because we are used to His Excellency the President awarding this himself.
Yeah.
But we had a situation where they were exchanging, where some heroes were awarded by the President and some were awarded by the Senegalese President. And I think it's an honor for a Shujaa to shake the hands of two Pan-Africanist presidents. And I can't wait to see what Mashujaa Day next year has in store in terms of which president we will invite through His Excellency the President.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us, in the face of modernization, our intangible heritage could be language. What are the modalities you have as a State Department to protect some of these things? They are not a heritage that you can touch, but they are indeed part of our story.
Yeah. So that is the intangible cultural heritage.
Yeah.
So the intangible cultural heritage are the songs, the music, the storytelling, the folk tales that we have as part and parcel of our being as a nation. So for us, first of all, modernization must not be about cultural amnesia. We should not feign to forget our cultures, because then we would have been losing our identity as a nation. Both intangible and tangible cultural heritage are an asset to us. For intangible, with time you will see it is eroded because of modernization, as you said, and also digitization. And also we have social media, which makes me feel cool if I talk about Jay-Z's music or Beyonce's music, rather than Kamba folk song or a Kamba dance. Now, as a State Department, we use the PPMC, and also we nurture and also capacity build these musics and also the intangible cultural heritage. We have sessions where we give an opportunity for the artists to use our studios so that they can write their songs, which is part of the heritage that we're talking about that is intangible. We also have documenting. We document from the National Museums of Kenya itself and the archives itself. We document all our heritage and our cultural heritage. Modernization is here, yes, we can't do without it, but at the same time, culture is cool. And what we've been trying to do for the past 3 years is make culture cool again, because culture was known as a very boring thing for old people. Yeah. But as you can see, I am seated here in this office for culture. I am not old, so I think it should be a very good example of culture being cool and making culture cool again. So you have the documentation through the archives. We have the British Museum have also given us some of our artifacts and our documentations, the letters which was taken back in the early 1900s. And you will see that the assets that were taken, our artifacts which were stolen, should be repatriated. So we're working towards that. And part of this is we are coming up with a policy on repatriation of our stolen artifacts. We have 37,000 stolen artifacts in 7 different institutions across the world. And we have the likes of the British Museum, we have some in Germany, and we're trying to have a diplomatic relationship whereby these countries want to give this back to us, the assets that were taken. Vigangos, for instance, were taken by the Illinois University, and we were given back 85 Vigangos about a year ago. And we celebrated this very much. Although they're rightfully ours, we celebrate the fact that our ancestors now are coming home to rest in Kwale. So our heritage that is intangible and also tangible must be safeguarded at all costs, because I'll not be in this office forever. Yeah. None of us will be here in another 100 years. But having a museum that has all these digital documented stories, the artifacts, stolen artifacts, what are still out there, which is this institution that is still not letting go of our artifacts, and what are we doing about it as a nation? This is very important for in terms of the generations to come to understand that we really tried to bring back what rightfully belonged to Kenya. Probably the last thing. Okay. we ratified the UNESCO Convention of 1970. This is a convention that talks of the stolen artifacts, that are imported, exported, and we had never ratified it, even if we're a UNESCO member state. So what we have done is ratified it a year ago. Now, as a nation, once we ratify a convention, the next step is to come up with a policy. And that is why we're working so hard as a State Department for Culture, Arts and Heritage to have a policy in place so that we can have a conversation and a seat at the table when it comes to fighting for us to return back our stolen artifacts. Yeah.
As we wind up, PS, we have always spoken about culture being cool, and it's one of the parameters to gauge your success in the State Department. But over the years, and in the years to come, because we also have a Vision 2030, where do you want to see this State Department, particularly the agenda of making culture cool again?
First of all, the last 3 years have been a great milestone when it comes to culture, arts and heritage. We have noticed more counties and more communities want to celebrate their cultural, their cultures. So we have cultural festivals. We've been partnering with so many counties on this. So the fact that a modernized generation is ready to safeguard its cultures, to safeguard its heritage is very encouraging, because by the year 2030, I envision a State Department that is so rich in content in terms of culture, and having museums that are state-of-the-art museums and up-to-date museums, and cultural centers that are being used by the youth in terms of acting, in terms of singing, and also job creation. And that is what we are doing as a nation. As this regime, we are trying to create jobs for the youth. And the easiest way around this is to use means like ushanga, the beadwork that we have as a nation. So 2030 is the year I see that the State Department for Culture and Arts and Heritage will have an online e-commerce platform that will actually be selling these products, the Kamba carvings, the Kisi soapstone, the Lamu kofias. These are products that someone in New York wants to buy, but sadly they can't come to Masai Mara to purchase. So we are working on an e-commerce platform called Sana, which is a very, very good marketplace, an online marketplace like Amazon and Alibaba, whereby we want a situation where there's different languages. As a German, you can purchase your products and it will be delivered to you. So as the State Department of Culture, Arts and Heritage, in another 10 years, I see this department to have expanded in such a way that everybody would want to be part of this success story for the State Department. Cultural centers. We are doing cultural centers that encourage that the people at the bottom of the pyramid, the people in those communities and those villages, come out and use these different cultural centers. For instance, we're almost completing one in Wundanyi, that is Taita Taveta. We are also doing another one in Busia. We are also doing another one in Wajir. This is just to show that we appreciate our cultures. And even if you come from a different community, I respect you and appreciate your cultures. So show me your ways, show me your cultures. Let me appreciate and love your cultures as you should mine. So His Excellency the President is really trying very hard to ensure that these communities that are celebrating their cultures are encouraged and supported always, because we have diplomats who actually come to attend the Ma Cultural Festival, Lamu Cultural Festival, the Turkana Tobonglore Cultural Festival. And this is not just a dance and song for that day. We create employment in that the person who sells a bottle of water makes a living that day. The person who does face painting or sells balloons on that day makes a kill. I found some gentleman who came all the way from Kericho to Turkana to sell his goods just for those 3 days of the Turkana festival last year. And they keep asking, when is the next festival happening? When is the next day? So if you say there's one in Lamu, they pack and take their goods there, which is very, very good. So I think that there's so much potential in the State Department for Culture, Arts and Heritage. Our artists, this is their home. This is their home in that we have music here. The art the painters, the artists who actually do their artwork. We have exhibitions at the National Museums of Kenya where we encourage an inter-county competition between artists to showcase their products, and we find tourists actually purchase these arts. We have exhibitions in other museums across the globe, and we also have the same here in the National Museums of Kenya. If you go to Fort Jesus, you'll find the Oman exhibition. We have the Indian exhibition at the National Museums of Kenya. So a country that wants to showcase its product and its assets at the National Museums of Kenya has to have that conversation with the National Museums of Kenya, and we encourage that so that we can appreciate if it's the Chinese culture, if the Japanese culture, if it is whichever culture that you feel you want to showcase, we have exhibition spaces for you. And these are not permanent exhibitions. So you're given like 6 months, you showcase, 3 months, you showcase, you leave, you use that space for another exhibition. Yeah.
Fantastic. We wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Asante sana. And thank you for your time. We've been speaking to the Principal Secretary, State Department for Culture, the Arts and Heritage, accessing and of course getting to understand the Kenyan cultural past and what the steps that we've been able to make as a country in terms of protecting our cultural heritage. That's why we put a cap on Prime Edition. Good night.